Chapter 6 Pronounced Inappropriate Appropriation. The carpool lane wound about the dark asphalt like a segmented snake slithering to the front entrance of the very prestigious private school. The double doors remained the goal of each and every student that patiently awaited discharge from the trucks, minivans, and luxury cars. The odd occurrence of carpool was one that extended the social mores of persons being acutely aware of each other's presence and attention from the students above the third grade to the parents as well. The administration and faculty at this school had a tendency of trying to diffuse the tensions wrought by political adversaries. Politicians and campaign managers of opposing parties both had their children sent to this academy. There were also the popular music and television personalities and the big-time movie star who sent both of his children to this school and had paid with a donation for the upgrade of the school's cafeteria. The coded forms of names of students adopted by the administration and faculty was not just for the usual expectations of privacy that students relied upon while attending schools, but also for the privacy of the parents of those students. But it still was just a carpool lane, and the children, blissfully oblivious to the social tensions, the delicate balances of attentions, and the must-needs of each teacher to put blinders on in dealing with the students for whom privilege was granted by their very birth. They were just like any other children in that they were excited for and dreading the advent of the new day of classes. They bemoaned having to leave the comfortable confines of their beds, their homes, and now their family auto, and somehow would brighten up as an administrator or teacher would open their car door and help them out into the waking world of a dream school nestled near the hilly ridges of West Austin for another day in academia. Meridia knew that her daughter was subject to such privilege, although Minerva's custodial parent was not exactly living in the lap of luxury. Their apartment was small, their car humble in comparison to that of the other families, but her father, upon learning of her being accepted to the school, diligently put up the fairly large sum of money that was tuition every year. Meridia was not in a rush to get to the massage business for which she worked today, nor did she have a client that day at the local hospital that would employ her as a freelance contractor on occasion. So she parked her car on the far end of the lot and walked her fourth-grade daughter to the front entrance. She was aware that some of the other parents looked to her as a vestige of that class not ensconced in poverty, although not as lofty as the circles they were used to surrounding themselves within. She gave them cause, she figured, to believe that they were not nearly as elitist as they appeared to the rest of the world. Some parents referring to her as bearing a true wisdom that was earthy and vital, as though they did not want to say she was down to earth, for fear that the word down might imply something that they thought but did not wish to mention. She got the meaning anyway, and gave it no great thought. Elongated smiles would linger when the parents would gaze at her, and the smiles would portray a certain uneasiness in those producing them. She heard some speak in hushed tones amongst the adults, wondering how Meridia held herself so well despite her hardships. They meant well, and thought of her in a manner that could be construed as flattering, yet also laden with a slight form of pity. She didn't care, though, because Minnie was a delightful young lady with no shortage of friends, spending many afternoons with various family friends in the after-school program, and earning academic distinctions that posited her at the head of her class. Meridia could not care what the other parents thought of her and her daughter's situation because she had the shining star among the children of the wealthy and famous. The two times Meridia had crossed paths with the big-time movie star during a pickup of Minnie from the after-school program, she had not been starstruck, but rather flippant and charming. When ripples of gossip emanated outward in the days that followed, she was invited to spend time with families that had previously only whispered about her. She wondered why the other parents of the school were so trapped in the social games that should be the fare of the students' voracious engagements with each other, that they would remain like children themselves in many ways. Minnie was long since the age when she held her mother's hand while crossing the parking lot, and Meridia could see her daughter's walking pace increase slightly as they walked, purposefully putting distance between her and her mother as they went. Accepting that her Minnie could break away, but she still will always have her mom when needed, Meridia purposefully slowed her own pace to let Minnie get ahead, to be a bit more independent. "Mom, could you please hurry up?" Minnie said, surprising Meridia almost as much as the vibrations and chimes of the message notification from her phone. "If you want to walk me in, I would like to get in there with enough time to talk with Miss Lin about the Mandarin homework she posted for next week." Okay. Sorry," Meridia answered as she fished into her purse for her phone. "You can go on ahead, and I will just see you this afternoon." Minerva turned fully around. "Wasn't your whole reason for walking me in to walk me in?" "Oh, shoot," she thought. "Have I offended her? Is this emotional neglect?" She was riding on the turmoil caused by a heated discussion last night between her and Minnie about the need for Minnie to start attending to her own laundry, that the girl gets her clothing washed, dried, and folded by her mom, but she could start taking the initiative of putting her folded clothes away. This course of conversation denigrated to various volatile points that easily developed through two emotionally enmeshed individuals. Minnie had accused her mom of not thinking about others, not really thinking about her family members' points of view. And that was why Dad left. After the explosive reaction that saw tears shedding first from Meridia, then Minerva, who was shocked to see that her words could have such impact upon her mother, they talked longer, and Minnie revealed that she felt like there was a kind of neglect emotionally that her mother had towards her. She made it clear that her dad did similarly disregard her emotional reality, but that she had expected her mom to connect with her, and, since the divorce, a certain emotional disconnect had become the norm. Trying to salvage her relationship with her daughter, even during these minor disruptions, was her intention. Her preteen daughter could make a mountain out of an anthill in the span of nanoseconds. "Oh, honey, I just don't want to embarrass you by fluttering nearby." "You don't embarrass me, Mom," Minnie said, but she got no immediate reaction as Meridia was still looking at her phone that notified her of an email from her ex-husband. "Mom," her tone was slightly admonishing her mother's inattention. She put her phone into her purse and dismissed the unexpected email while looking forward to her progeny. "Sorry," she started. "That's great that you are not embarrassed by me. I was listening." Her daughter smiled and spun around as her mom skip-walked to catch up to her. "I do want you to feel like I care about what you are doing, and I think it is great you are looking to ask one of your teachers a question about your work of your own power," She looked ahead and could feel Minnie look at her. But truth be told, I'm also here to try to speak with one of the other teachers. Who? Minnie asked. And what about? Oh, that math teacher for the 5th grade. Dr. Cook? Minnie asked and stated simultaneously. Please don't ask to bump me up. I could do it in English or even science, but not yet with math. Relax, Minnie, she told her daughter. I'm just curious about something to do with her past. We might have crossed paths at some point. But Minerva was already moving on and less concerned with the reason as long as it had nothing to do with moving her into the higher grade classes for math. Meridia knew that her friends were key in her daughter's world right now, and that point was manifest in her daughter's attention gravitating to one of her friends stepping down from a very expensive luxury car in which the child's father, wearing sunglasses to barely disguise his easily recognized face as a well-known musician, sat in the front seat waving a thank you to the administrator, who wished a good morning while shutting the car door. Not that you would want to hear about my adventures. Minnie looked at her quickly. You can tell me about it this afternoon, Mom. I love you, and thank you for the ride. And then she turned and walked nearer to her friend, who brightened her disposition upon seeing Minerva, asking her about her upcoming project for the coding class they took together. And that's how it went. The near implosion of the emotional reality of the 4th grader quickly glossed over while she moved on to her independent social sphere. Meridia was looking forward with a curious dread to when Minnie would enter into her middle school years. Perfectly capable of keeping herself on track, she walked into the school through the front double doors and was met with the cheery smile worn by the pleasant and competent lady sitting at the front desk. She had both ears attentive to the 2 walkie-talkies on 2 separate channels that each carried chatter regarding the arrival of students and faculty alike, maintained a sweeping glance upon the various security cameras that fed live visual representations to a large monitor on her desk, was within arm's reach of the school's main phone, had 2 computers logged into 2 separate systems that conveyed emails to her and also allowed her to access all information pertaining to everything happening in and about the school. All this while keeping a perfectly welcoming smile and genuine sense of approachability on her face and body language, while also offering various verbal salutations in a melodious voice. If there was a helm of the ship that is this very prestigious private school, it was well womaned by Sarah. Hello, Sarah. Meridia liked to mirror the enthusiasm that Sarah so easily generated. And good morning to you. Sarah's slight Texas accent was only presented for people she was comfortable with, and it was present now, letting Meridia know that not being greeted by name was not a slight in any way whatsoever. Could you tell me where I might find Dr. Cook this morning before the bell? Dr. Cook usually is in her room before the day starts, but you might want to check in the cafeteria today because she is on duty as proctor for the middle school students before the first bell rings. Sarah had a very gentle way of communicating that Dr. Cook was today in the cafeteria and would then have to make haste to her room for the first class of the day. Is there anything that you could ask her about through email? Because I can get you that. She was scribbling an email address onto a sticky notepad after typing into one computer while glancing at the security monitors. Seeing as you wouldn't have it, as your Minerva's in 4th, right? The seamless way Sarah transitioned to every task while keeping track of details was accented by her speaking 3 salutations in a voice that Miss Poppins would have envied to 3 separate students who arrived through the front door. Right, but I don't... Meridia cut herself off as Sarah extended the paper with the email address on it to her. You know, This would be good in case I can't talk with her this morning. She folded the paper and placed it into her purse. Thank you very much, she said with a smile that she hoped conveyed her earnest meaning in the words. I will go and try to speak with her before she starts her first class. You're so welcome and have a great day, was the sing-song voiced valediction that Sarah made as Meridia departed. She glanced back at the flurry of activity Sarah was engaged in, and then turned her attention to navigating the halls and large commons area that were bustling with the rampant interaction of students preparing for the day by reconnecting with their friends and peers. She noticed a few of the parents standing near their children as they went through their backpacks and reviewed the contents to verify that their homework, books, and various educational tools were readily present. The kids were much more concerned with the presents and types of snacks included in their school bags. Meridia noticed a few glances her way from the parents, but noticed that the students were so involved in their culture that she was able to pass through the room being observed, but with little obstruction. She made her way to the cafeteria at the back of the campus.